Hello, my name is Reed White. I'm here to talk to you about this painting. I call it Red Lilies, and I tell you how I made it step by step, and I will give away all my, hopefully you'll learn something. I started out there with this with a photograph, and I projected the image on the canvas. That's cheating, which I'm ashamed of, but it saves a couple hours, and I don't care. Just because, I mean, I've gone through the whole thing of like spending days and days on a drawing to get it perfect. And what I find more important nowadays is to have a really clean canvas, because all that charcoal will show through the paint. It just ends up, I mean, this stuff is pretty transparent in areas, and the black mixed with the red makes black. So I projected the image. I use vine charcoal on this one. Others I use paint. I used vine charcoal that I sharpen in a pencil sharpener, and just a faint line, and just almost just like milestones or whatnot, to just to know where the important area, or, you know, like if it was a human, it'd be like the head, chin, blah blah blah, just to so you know where you are, because ultimately you want to be able to be confident that you can redraw everything anyway. And so if you do go and cover something up, it doesn't matter, because you know that you can just redraw it. And if you get the initial drawing down and it's rock solid, it's a great foundation to work with. And so I laid it out with the vine charcoal. I spray a workable fixative on it, aerosol. Let that dry. I have the canvas is one I built. It's true and straight, and then I gessoed it. And because if you have a bent, baggy looking canvas, it looks bad in the end. So you start out with a good foundation, and you're setting yourself up for success. Then I came through, I mixed up a palette of my greens, which I am using. I use a cadmium green, a phthalo turquoise, sap green, and permanent green. And I mixed all of this stuff with a drier Galkid light. Then I mixed a bunch of white up. You can make it darker with a complement of red. The red, being the complement, will not push the green to a yellow or a blue. It'll keep it on the same hue. And then I mix up a gradient of all of the colors. So there's the initial color out of the tube, going to a lighter, to a white almost, and then to a black. And once I have my palette mixed up, then I came through, I painted the green, and I left all the red. I look at the photo constantly, just to, for like inspiration, you know, you can, whether a green is more on the blue side or on the yellow side, how dark it is, how light it is, if there's a sheen of white, and it's just inspiration. It's like you, if I'm just painting it out of my head, I wouldn't come up with all that, because I would just assume that it's all straight up green, you know. But the photo, it gives you ideas. So painted my greens out, then I went back in and I painted the buds, and then I came through and I painted the red. And at that point in the process, I'm concerned with making sure that I have paint covering all of the canvas, because I don't want to come back in. When I do come back in, I'm adjusting the color and correcting. Once you have everything down, then you can see what it looks against. It's like something may look real dark when you put it down, when everything's stark white, but then you add all this red in there, and then it's like it's really not as dark as you thought. And so you go back in and you adjust everything, and with that layer, I can be real whimsical and that comes out in the mark, and it adds interest to the painting. And the last thing I want is like some awesome mark that I'm in love with, but you can see canvas showing through, and then you have to try to mix up the same color and blah 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 and try to go back in and cover the canvas. And so that first initial coat of everything, I want to kill off all the canvas, and then I come back in and I adjust all the colors. With this one, I was real. I like what paint does, the tactile, the gooiness, the when you mix it with mineral spirits, it's beautiful stuff. I like the happy accidents that oil paint creates, and so and you don't plan that stuff. So I came through, I hit it with a real crazy wash, and then thinking that a lot of those drips would eventually be the finished product, but in chasing the correct color, I covered a lot of it up. But some of it you still see here and there, but the colors that are in the front are going to be, the blacks are blacker, the whites are whiter, the colors are more bright, or they're colorful. As color recedes, it gets grayer and more of a blue, cool tone to it. So these, in the more background, they don't have as much of a hard edge, whereas I came in with real dark, real crisp lines to optically make the foreground come into the foreground. Yeah. What else can I say? I mix my paint with these. I mix it really good because I don't want I want to be able to take, say, my reds. With my reds, I mixed up a cadmium orange, a cadmium red light, a cadmium red medium, and a cadmium dark. And I, again, with those, mixed them all down with white. After I added dryer to it all, and then I added black and some green in areas. But let's see. So I want to be able to go between cad red light and cad medium of the same value without a real dark. I mean, you just get a little bit of it, and it changes your paintings. I wanna control what I have, so I mix the paint really well. So if I want to get a streak of a darker value, I will, when I load my brush, I will load my color on the brush, and if I want a dark bit in this brush stroke, I will then dip that loaded brush in a darker color, so I'll have multiple colors on that brush, and then I will hit it, or push it around, and I want to be able to control that. And so mixing straight from the tube, where people just put it on their palette and mix a little bit of white and their red, and they're mixing it with their brush, it's on the ferrule of the brush, and you don't have as much control. So I use palette knives to mix up my palette. My palette, I use plate glass, real thick stuff, and then I clean it with a razor. Thanks, Brad. So, and when I clean my brush, I use paper towels a lot, but you should wear gloves. I don't, but anytime I ride an edge of another color, and I get even just the smallest amount of a color that I don't want on that brush, I clean the brush, and I will wipe it like that, right? And then I use mineral spirits, and you do this, and then you reload your brush, and you start anew. Yeah, you have to have clean equipment and clean paint. Mixing, yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Are we done? Should we do this? If you've found any of this useful or helpful in any way, please like and subscribe, and I'll be making another one soon. Thank you very much. Peace.